Do
You want me to call to order? Let's call the meeting to order. Um, Javier, will you do the pledge of allegiance?
Sure.
for us?
Been a while.
Where's the flag? Where's the flag? Ay, Chihuahua.
Be careful, guys, be careful. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is roll call.
Yes. Roll call, Commissioner Armando Lerma.
Here.
Present. Commissioner Clara Nieblas,
Present.
Chair Irene Rodriguez,
Present.
Commissioner Juan Ponce Ramos,
Present.
Commissioner Oralia Yaya Ortiz,
Present.
and Commissioner Javier Figueroa.
Present.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call.
Thank you. So I have an approval of the agenda, please.
I just have one small change, and it's for new business calendar item number 2. Instead of discussion on future artist installations, it'll be discussion on future art installations.
Okay. We need to go first motion.
Yes, let's go ahead and approve the agenda. Motion,
We'll go ahead first motion.
All motion.
I second it.
thank you.
And
Roll call, ayes,
I,
Aye.
noes, abstentions.
okay.
You,
Our next item is the approval of our minutes from the last meeting held September 28th, 2023. Please take a few minutes to review it, and then I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
All motion looks good to me.
I second it.
okay, roll call, ayes,
Aye.
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 noes, abstentions. Thank you.
Okay. So for things for our new business that we have on the calendars, review and approve of a public place proposal.
Yes.
And entitled Listening to the Rain by Navia Chacon in the amount of 19,000.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and begin the presentation. We need to make sure that we put up item number 1. There we go. Thank you. I hope you guys can see it. I know it looks a little small from a distance. And let me to our IT staff, do you guys know if Nani Chacon is on? She's not on yet? Okay, she is the artist. If you guys see her in the waiting room, please promote her to presenter. Excuse me. So the item before you is an Art in Public Places program mural proposal entitled Listening to the Rain by Nani Chacon in the amount of $19,000. A little bit about the artist. Nani Chacon is a Dine, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the tribe's name, is a Dine, Navajo, and Chicana artist, most recognized as a painter and muralist. Chacon was born in Gallup, New Mexico, and raised on the Navajo Reservation in New Mexico. She is currently based in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Chacon's most notable works have been within the public art sector, in which she has a cumulative experience of over 20 years. Her practice includes other mediums and a developed aptitude in painting, illustration, installation, and design. Chacon's public works facilitate social engagement and community-based integration, elevating her personal philosophy that art should be accessible and a meaningful catalyst for social change. Her work has been recognized for its unique style and attentiveness to site-specific location and content, as well as the integration of socio-political issues that affect women and Indigenous peoples. Chacon's work focuses on figurative subject matter while exploring concepts with Indigenous culture, bringing the complexity of Indigenous identities to the forefront. The content of her work is used to incite dialogue through philosophical personification and abstract metaphor. Chacon received her bachelor's degree in education from the University of New Mexico in 2003. She has 7 years of teaching experience and writing curriculum for alternative education programs. She currently exhibits across the United States and abroad. She has maintained a career as a painter, muralist, educator, and activist, creating works both nationally and internationally, receiving commissions and collaboration opportunities worldwide. Chacon works with multiple organizations and institutions, the most notable being the National Endowment for the Arts, the California Endowment for the Arts, the U.S. Consulate and Embassy in Russia, the Obama Foundation, New Mexico Public Arts Foundation, the National Museum of Mexican Art, Chicago, the Navajo Nation Museum, National Hispanic Cultural Center, and the Museum of Native Contemporary Art. Her clients have included Facebook GoPro, NBC Universal, NPR, Comedy Central, Honor the Earth, and Sons and Brothers. The next slide illustrates the proposed rendering, Listening to the Rain. And so the concept for this work acknowledges the symbolic relationship between people and nature and the acute balance that sustains all life in the desert. Plants and people have adapted to this system, finding it possible to not only live, but thrive against harsh conditions and limited water. This mural celebrates the beauty of that tenacity and knowledge. The proposed mural site is the Frontier Building Wall located between 6th Street and 7th Street on Vine. And Frontier Communications, just so the commission knows, it actually took us probably about, I have to say, even back when Dr. Martin, our new city manager, was economic development manager, it's taken us about almost 5 years to get Frontier to agree to allow us to place art on this wall. So I just want to make the commission aware of that. And so Frontier finally sent us an email indicating that they are in approval of the city placing an art in public places installation on their wall. They've reviewed the artwork by Ms. Chacon and all other relevant details. The city will go into a contract agreement with Frontier to, basically ascertain that the city will be maintaining this mural for 5 years, keeping it free of graffiti and other destruction. The city will also go into an agreement with the artist. And so, yes, so this is the proposed mural site. This is what the site could look like with the proposed mural. It's quite a wall. The wall dimensions are approximately 23 feet by 28 feet. And so it's quite the space. And the budget. The budget is $19,000, and this should include the installation cost, the labor and artist fee, travel, lodging, and per diem. And our timeline. This is sort of important because we will be going to, after the Arts Commission approves or not approves this item, we will take this to City Council at the September 11th meeting. And then next we move to execute contract agreements with both the artist and the property owner, in this case, Frontier Communications. Then in January, the artist will begin mural installation, and she will take about 2 weeks to install the mural. And then in February, we hope to have an unveiling or a ribbon cutting ceremony with the commission and our city council and the public. And here we have some selected murals by Ms. Chacon. They're absolutely beautiful. I will go through a selection of her artwork. And this concludes our presentation. And I just want to announce to the commission that we do have public comment on item number 1. And I will proceed to reading the public comment on item number 1. This is from Karina Montes, and she writes, public comment on item 1, art mural by Naniba Chacon in support of. Dear Commissioners, I am writing in support of the art being proposed by the artist Naniba Chacon. Her artwork is so beautiful, and I personally had the opportunity to view one of her murals of 2 little girls. It is truly refreshing to see this caliber of art finally coming to our city. I am tired of art that is not inspirational, art that does not reflect the essence of the plight of Mexican people, indigenous people, and others. For too long, the city has been decorated with murals that are in nature about gangsters. Our heritage is not about gangsters art, but about a cultural connection to our past and ancestors. Please consider this letter an endorsement of my support of Ms. Naniba Chacon's art mural. Thank you, Karina Montes. And the next submission is a public comment also for agenda item number 1. This is regarding a written letter to be entered in the public record and made available for public inspection for the August 13, 2024, 5 p.m. Cultural and Arts Commission meeting. Agenda item 1, consideration of mural construction and additional travel and daily stipend expenses. Dear current appointees, as a longtime Coachella Valley resident and deeply involved critic of unnecessary harmful effects of localized governmental agencies, cities, special districts, and other entities, misuse of tax collected dollars combined with increasing amount of fees and licensing requirements set upon businesses and residents to merely survive within their communities is really alarming. This letter is in opposition of this organization, allowing citizens to support the status quo operations of inflating the cost of having local art and public spaces associated with unrelated costs of installed public art. It is unreasonable to consider that having residents pay travel and other stipends for non-localized artists to install their art within the city's boundaries would be unreasonable and would discriminate against all artists' work that may apply to have their art sold to the city of Coachella. Question, would this commission consider art that would include higher travel costs or longer installation times, longer hotel costs? Please consider having other organizations pay the cost of the proposed travel and other non-related stipend expenses. If those additional costs cannot be eliminated from the city's costs, please consider denial of this request to construct the mural, listening to the rain. Please consider local artists that have a unique and special connection to the Coachella Valley or surrounding areas, which would automatically eliminate travel and hotel stays. Sincerely, Brad Anderson, Rancho Mirage. And that concludes the public comment. I'll turn it back over to Chair Rodriguez. I believe so.
Please turn on your mic, and we do have Nadia online. I can. go ahead,
Okay,
promote her.
yeah.
So sorry.
Could we promote her to panelist so she can address the commission if needed? Hi, Nadia,
Hello.
can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
Okay,
see you and
great.
hear you clearly. Thank you for joining us. I know you're traveling for work in New York, and so we thank you. It must be kind of late in New York right now, probably 8 o'clock, right? 8:15.
Yeah, it's late, but it's fine. I'm here. I'm still on New Mexico time.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mentally.
Yes, that's right. And I believe the commission
Yeah,
would
so,
like to ask any questions.
Nani, this is Irene. Thank you very much for being on the call. Does any of the commissioners have any questions for Nani?
I do. Hi, Nani. My name is Clara Nieblas. Beautiful artwork. I just wanted to say that you have a very robust, beautiful resume under you. And it's nice to see women artists, indigenous artists, doing all the work that you're doing. My question to you is, what is your relationship to the Coachella Valley, and what called to you to feel inspired to have some of your artwork in our city?
Yeah, I have to admit my experience in Coachella has been limited. I have been through there. I have met community members from there, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous. I spent some time near there because I did a workshop in Idlewild and completed a mural over there and collaborated with a Kwahia basket weaver for the content of the mural. At this point, my interest in doing the mural, as all murals, is I think it's important to acknowledge Indigenous voices within our communities and spaces. And it is really a transformative act because as Indigenous people, we see ourselves within the landscape. I haven't spent a lot of time, and by a lot, I think I consider a lot like months, or years, something like that. If I had lived there, that to me is a lot of time. But I do have a relationship with the desert, and the content of this piece really drove from my experience, both with my own homelands and a need to really create that connection across with Indigenous people who live in the desert, because that is a very special experience. And that experience is most often exploited grossly because we are also in proximity to cityscapes that don't understand the need, relationship, sacredness, the environmental impact of living without water and living in a desert, living in drought, understanding the implications of drought, understanding the sacredness of drought, and how water reflects our liveliness. And so that was really when I had thought about and was given the opportunity to create a proposal for Coachella, that to me was the message that I felt was something I could relate to. People across the Southwest, across the desert, maybe across borders, would also relate to when looking at that imagery. And also just in the larger scope, how do we understand that? How do we hold those values? How are we living? Because our collective people, Indigenous people, people who are of these regions, have understood and have lived in harmony with that for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Thank you.
I follow up. So second question, thank you for that, by the way. I don't know if you heard the public comments that we had. So first question is, how do you feel about that second public comment about housing costs? Because in the past in our community, there's been a lot of critique about just hiring artists from outside of our valley to do artwork specifically in the city of Coachella, considering we have a lot of artists in the valley itself. And so I think that second public comment had a valid critique, right? But I'm wondering how you feel about that. And also remember, like, from your bio, it seems like you work a lot with community. Is there ever a time when you do public art and murals that you work with community members themselves from the area, and sort of do maybe a mentorship, or before you start your draft, if you talk to local residents or other Indigenous artists? And I think you did mention that the mural or artwork you did in Idlewild was with the Kauai woman. And so it seems like you might, that is where you do come from. And so specifically, I guess with this mural, would it be, I guess, an option for you to also include a local Indigenous artist to kind of maybe see how we can fit them in collaboration with your artwork.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And it makes sense because I've been confronted with this kind of thing many times, and I actually appreciate that comment. I think it's very thoughtful, and it's actually a very conscious kind of outlook toward community spending, all of these things that happen, and it's very complex. We in Albuquerque, I want to say, and kind of have the same issues a lot because we don't have a large budget for public artworks. Space is limited. Of course, you're working within sensitive cultural content, and people want to feel represented. People want to feel represented in their communities. So I appreciate the comment, even though it seems to counter a little bit of what we're doing or what we're here for. A lot of my practice is community engaged work. All of that is specific and tailored to the communities that I work with, also specific timelines and budgets. With ones in the past, I have, integrated community members or artists. Some of them are not specifically painters. Some of them are not specifically any kind of 2D artists. Like I had mentioned in Idlewild, I worked with a traditional basket weaver, and we had talked about stories and content, and also the content of that piece in particular was really about a reverence and understanding for the depletion of the indigenous plants that are used to make the baskets themselves. So there being that relationship between plants and growing, and then also the environment, and then how industry or people moving in, or just climate change, how all of these things kind of threaten that trajectory of basket making surviving into the future. So we did a piece that was kind of inclusive of all of that, and it becomes collaborative and community engaged because this is a work that is then enriched by a community member participating. I'm always open to those kind of interactions. I think that they make the work really begin to live within that community. The other thing that we had did with that specific mural, it's a good one because it's closed, and I've done this with a number of pieces, is I also worked with students who were attending Idlewild, and they provided the plant studies and got to learn with me. I don't mind teaching. I do like taking on youth apprentices. I think that that's kind of an interesting exchange because then they are empowered and understand the process of mural making, a collaborative process, which all of this is collaborative. And hopefully, that knowledge and having that skill after completing a mural is then something that they can do more effectively. So in Albuquerque, that's one of the things that is actually difficult, is that there is many artists, and I've been on arts boards. I've also worked with community projects that mentor students to work with working muralists. And for that purpose, that, if you give an artist, while a community could be rich with many artists, painting a mural itself is very specific. It's very labor intensive. I do what I do, and I can do it well because I've been doing it for so long. And while I believe in the power of public art as an effective tool, as a powerful tool, as empowering for both artists and communities and viewers, is that it's only as powerful as the work can translate. So there is that side of it too. And I've also helped, in Akamai, they wanted to commission a mural and hired an elder. He was an illustrator, pottery painter. He painted pottery and made pottery. And they had him paint a very, very large mural. And he was like, oh, I don't know where to begin and I don't know where to end. So I went in for about a week and helped him lay out the whole thing and, get an approach down and understand kind of like the logistical side of it, and really got his work going. So yeah, I can definitely appreciate, I think for this piece in particular, so we wouldn't be working backwards. If there was an interest to have some kind of community engagement, I would prefer maybe working, if there was maybe already a talent, or if there was a recommendation, or maybe put out an open call for that, of having a youth apprentice. And those kind of opportunities, I think, are the most effective, because then they are inspired, they understand the process, they can then go help other artists, or then they can even do their own work and really kind of understand the meaning and everything that goes into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Yeah, you have any questions? No? Nani, thank you. I did have a question, and you did address it in a way. I do like how you mentioned youth apprentices, because I was thinking about, and it's something to think about as the commission and with the city, again, working with some students or sharing something maybe after the installation is finished or something like that, so we could have that connection.
Mhm.
Like Clara was saying, with the community members as well, with the cities, so it's not a one-time incident. You come and
Yes.
you do something, but you're here and we try to make that connection, and that you're bringing and that you also showcasing or highlighting indigenous and indigenous women. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always interested in the ways that murals can actually begin to live and facilitate our communities. I think about the role of murals historically, and now we are in this era where we're celebrating art in public spaces again, but historically they lived in everywhere. Like, we think about the Aztec Empire, the Mayan Empire, like they were literally on all of the walls in Pompeii, and these were stories and ways to communicate and celebrate our living communities. So I've had murals and very much encourage. I've had murals turned into curriculum. I've worked with teachers to, start to kind of pick apart some of the symbology that is involved in the murals, some of the plant types. I had put yucca in this plant, but it could be replaced with something that is more like a variety of that is more regional, and that is more recognizable to the Coachella Valley. And those kind of adjustments are super easy to make. So I encourage all of those things. I think that there's always ways for the work to extend and kind of take on its own life. And that's always the biggest hope that I have for a piece, is that people then adopt it and see it as part of something that they use and identify with.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So
I'll
we'll
make a
be
motion.
Make a motion. This is
Oh, the motion would be,
the motion. Yeah, forgot.
Motion to approve an art.
Okay. The motion before, I need a motion to approve, the mural and, entitled Listening to the Rain by Nabavi Nani Chacon for the amount of 19,000.
Do we hear
I
a
need a
motion?
first and a second.
Well, I have a question. Do board members want to kind of talk about it more?
We
I
could,
do.
well, we could, I think is we first make a first and second, and then there's a discussion,
Yeah,
correct?
you can do that. Or if you want to have more discussion, just let us know. This is the time to talk about, your discussion.
Yeah, because I also had a question because if we motion to kind of say yes, is there option to make changes to
Or
the
recommendations?
proposal, recommendations or?
The recommendation, because I just want to clarify that I heard Chair Rodriguez indicate that she would like to see maybe some youth collaboration or what have you. So in this case, the commission can make a recommendation to increase the grant funding amount, just so that to be able to incorporate the youth component and local
Yeah.
youth component. And and so then we would need a recommendation from the commission to ask what that amount would be. Is it, like 5,000? Is it 3,500? What the commission, Irene, I know is very experienced, and so is Yaya in youth programming. So you guys are aware of what it would take to deliver that. The only thing I ask is that whoever recommends whatever is recommended, that somebody can spearhead that from the commission, so that because there's a lot of coordination that goes on with that. And so I would then make that recommendation and also recommend who would be helping to implement that here locally.
Yeah.
Okay, so just,
So 2 questions. So this is incorporating the youth as far as coming into it, and that is separate from the youth apprentice? Or is that one and the same?
you can make it one and the same if you wish. So you
Mhm.
can stipulate, okay, I would like to see a youth program, like a 1-day workshop or
Mhm.
something like that. And you can indicate, I want the 1-day workshop,
Mhm.
and then plus I want the apprenticeship
Mhm.
to harness collaboration, local collaboration. And that could also be a small stipend,
Mhm.
because obviously we don't
Yes.
want to insult Ms. Chacon. She is a professional,
Uh-huh.
and so we don't want to be like, interfering with her work and her, her ability to deliver the mural. And so we would, I would recommend, off record that, you guys make that recommendation, but that it be a stipend in a reasonable amount. And then somebody here would have to spearhead who, the program, because that would be like a little program that we
Mhm.
run. And of course, we'll help you as well, obviously as staff, but I really would like to request that you guys, somebody step up and help us. I know Irene is immersed in that work, so is Yaya, so I'm looking at you too. But again, the commission can have this discussion amongst yourselves and then give us direction.
Any
Yeah.
thoughts?
I also like that she also said that she would incorporate something more local.
Mhm.
in
Yeah,
decisions.
her work with the Cahuilla
And like
Indians.
you said, we don't want to
Yes.
offend her, but if she's saying she's willing
Yes.
to, maybe it'll change.
Yeah, the Chemehuevi Indian, yeah, I think that's who she worked with, because I saw the baskets in the
Mhm.
presentation.
Mhm.
And I was like, that looks like the basket I bought in Idlewild from the Chemehuevi, and so the Chemehuevi are related to the Cahuilla Indians, and also the Spotlight 29 people, the Spotlight, I think they're called the 29
Then.
Band of Mission Indians, or
Yeah.
Luiseño.
Mhm.
And so they have those themes, so I think that's actually really beautiful. I didn't know that she had worked with the Chemehuevi, but yeah. So yeah, please take it over.
Did you have something to add?
I just want to say, I want to have a further discussion, not too long, maybe, but if you know me, anything about me, you know that I'm about local artists. I got on this commission because I want to advocate for the local artists. Just recently, through a grant from the Creative Corps, we were able to hire at least 25 artists to do crafts, all local artists from Castillo City to Salton Sea, everywhere. So, everyone knows that I advocate for local. But if we can incorporate a youth into this mural, I will agree to it, but otherwise I won't.
Commissioners?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I'd like to say that I think with the budget, I believe that all artists should be paid whatever they ask for. We do have a specific budget for art, so I don't think it takes away from, other city funding. And just like historically, the starving artist, like, um, especially with her experience, I think
The
the
commission
budget
can
is
modify the motion to include, like, you can say, I want a $3,500 stipend for a youth apprentice, and then I want a, I don't
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
another 3,500 for the one-day workshop or whatever you
Yeah.
guys want to call that.
So the budget, would we have to decide on that right now?
Yes, you would
Yes.
have to
Yeah.
decide because I'd have to take this to city council and then they'll approve and, or not, or, because I don't know
Yeah.
what the council will do. And
Mhm.
so, but I need to know what that amount will be so we can modify the
Mhm.
motion to say that we are going to authorize a mural in the amount of 19,000 for the artist plus, a $3,500 stipend for an apprentice, person, local apprentice person,
Mhm.
plus 3,000
Uh-huh.
for the one-day workshop. or
Uh,
whatever.
So the one-day workshop, what is everyone thinking about?
That is something that we have to develop after this
Yeah.
is approved. Correct.
Mhm,
Yeah,
that's
we
correct.
can, it's hard to develop something like that. But I was thinking contacting the Riverside County of education, because they do arts, and I'm having a meeting with the arts individual actually on Friday morning. That just happened by coincidence, right?
Mhm.
That we could really connect this. She's really local and she really likes the murals and she's into art and making sure that art's accessible to every student in education. But I think that has something that we have to develop afterwards and how that might look like. Um, but I do have a question for you, Selena. Instead of having a specific amount, is there something that we could say? And would the city council be okay, say, we'll have an apprentice, but it will not go over a certain limit?
Oh, correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
And not to
that way we're
exceed,
not,
Apprenticeship is
Yeah.
also free, right? Like,
right.
they're learning, they're.
Sure.
yeah,
With the
but I would like to
stipend, yeah.
pay them
Yes,
something.
I'm not sure on
Yeah,
how
yeah,
everything
that,
works.
yeah, no, think that needs, like Clara said,
Yeah,
an artist
yeah.
paying, even though they're learning, you still wanted to give them
Something.
some fun.
Because there's a lot of artists, but don't, I think we can't like say that Coachella has the best resources for local artists, right? We have a lot of muralists in the valley, but again, it's a profession that is very much gatekeeping in a way, and there's, unless you go to a class or you're in art school, I think, or you have experience, but if we can provide a pathway to younger artists to know how to budget a mural, logistics, even their own proposals, and I think starting with like an apprenticeship like this with each artist, I think we should implement it to be honestly like a requirement for every time we bring in an outside artist and or even a local artist, to apply an education curriculum in the RFPs so that we have a way to include the community always
Mhm.
and also support other younger, less experienced artists. So with this specific mural, if the artist is okay with it, I think, like Yaya said, I will also approve if the artist is willing to work with an apprentice. And I think because we are doing the opening,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
I think in that day we can include workshops.
Yeah.
Itself that will be open to more community, right? So then we have the apprenticeship can be like
Mhm.
one artist that we can do a call for. And then the day of the opening to include activities. I think maybe the artist can do some knowledge work of more like indigenous teaching of the art and the mural itself with community members.
Mhm.
But I also wanted to ask the board how they feel that we or where the local indigenous tribes can be included in this as well.
Just a little comment. I just want to let the commission know that the next item for discussion will allow you to shape these sorts of
Mm.
thoughts.
Okay.
So I just want to kind of give you that info, but for this item that we're hearing, I would like to ask the commission, what motion do you want to make? Because I'm hearing that you would like to incorporate an apprenticeship element. What are we looking at budget-wise? And then the day of the opening workshop, collaboration, what does that look like? Also, if there's if there's a budget you want to assign, I just need to know what that looks like. And we can also add, like that you want a local artist, that you would like an indigenous, or I don't know, or youth.
Mhm.
We can
Mhm.
specify, what the commission feels would be the most appropriate structure.
So something that just to incorporate, so something the motion, I'm not making the motion yet, but thinking about, we approve this with the expansion of including a youth apprentices, including some type of workshop. It could either be at the opening and also sometime before or after to include as much students as we can. And for each, I would say element not to surpass $5,000,
Not to exceed 5,000.
not to exceed $5,000 for each of those two elements. Is everybody okay with that, or it's something
So,
that I missed?
Do you want to make a motion that you want to approve an art in public places proposal for a mural entitled Listening to the Rain by Naniba Nani Chacon in the amount of 19,000, in addition to 5,000 for a youth apprenticeship opportunity, and not to exceed 5,000, and then a day of the opening workshop, or it could be the day prior, or the day after, in a not to exceed amount of $5,000, bringing the total to, I guess, 29,000?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll have you restate that.
So I make the motion for Art and Public's proposal for a mural entitled Listening to the Rain by Nabia Naya Chacon in the amount of 19,000. That also includes expanding to a youth apprentices as well as some expanded workshops with the community either at, before, or after the unveiling of the mural. For each of these elements not to exceed $5,000 for the grand total of $29,000. So I would need a.
Do we have a first,
Do we have a first?
I'll first.
second,
I'll second.
roll call? All in favor, say aye.
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 Everybody said aye?
Aye.
Yeah.
Any noes? None? No abstentions? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Next item is the discussion.
Thank you, Nani.
Thank you. Thank you. The discussion on future art installations.
All right, if we could please bring up this presentation. So I'm just kind of this presentation is really not to be prescriptive to the commission. I'm just going to go through this quick little overview to kind of give the commission an idea of where the city has been and where it could possibly go. And then you guys can then, take on the discussion, lead the discussion, and let us know what art installations in Coachella ought to look like. And so here, I recently took a trip to Mexico where I got really, really sick. But I did take some fabulous pictures, and I saw this in Tlaquepaque, and I just was blown away that there was an incredible amount of beautiful art, culturally relevant. I saw a lot of sculptures. I even saw like the pottery that you see there, and just all this amazing stuff, including those arches that Dr. Martin has been wanting for the city of Coachella, something to the effect that says, this is the entry to Coachella. We've always been eyeballing that for years. It's a very expensive item, but it's absolutely beautiful. These arches are over 250 years old, just so you know. They're the Arcos de Guadalajara. And so I wanted to kind of talk about something that the commission had previously approved, and it was an art walk feasibility study. And so an art walk is a celebration of the culture and commerce of a community and the work of its local artists. It's a free event that occurs on a regular basis, such as the first Friday of every month, where local art galleries, museums, businesses, restaurants, and bars collaborate with area artists to display their work. Other activities may include like live music, dancing, street performers, food and drink, and children's entertainment. Art walks provide an opportunity for citizens to engage in and support the local arts while creating a sense of community, culture, and identity. And so there's a lot of economic development benefits associated with the art walk or art in general, because thriving cultural life as we know it generates income, jobs, tax revenue, and also creates visibility for a city or a community. Examples of the arts and heritage activities that are prominent features for some states and regions include, I'm sure you've all heard of Broadway and Off-Broadway in New York City. The entertainment industry in Southern California is top-notch. Summer dance, theater, and music festivals of the Berkshires and jazz in New Orleans, to name a few. All of which establish an identity that becomes a regionally and nationally recognizable destination. In this sense, the arts-related events have long been regarded as important components in tourism development. And so anyway, and I wanted to kind of show these thoughts or, previous ideas that the commission has had about streamlined wayfinding. I noticed that the city of Palm Desert, for example, has these little things that look like that yellow upright structure, and you scan the QR code, and then it takes you to all the art pieces, and you kind of view them. We can do that already. The city of Coachella can think about that. Theater opportunities, food, attractions, art exhibits, performances, gardens, sculptures, film, wellness, health. All of these can be integrated into the arts. Whoops, what did I do? Oh, and as you know, we currently have a pretty good cultural asset inventory, but because we don't have a museum, it's really sad, right? Because we just don't have like a cool space that is literally cool, not hot, and indoors where we can display our cultural assets. But we do have Etheria and the grizzly bear. And so the art feasibility study was gonna analyze like the number of cultural programs and events that occurred throughout the year, who are the not-for-profit organizations that are here creating art and opportunities, venues, facilities, basically examine everything in the Coachella Valley, but as it relates to Coachella. And then we have, and this is kind of an old slide, but, as you know, the city of Coachella is renovating its old library. It's called the Library Annex. And so we do plan on continuing that renovation. We were recently authorized by the state to actually continue that work. We were placed on a brief hold because of the crisis with the budget crisis, but we have been reinstated, so we are going to continue that work. And so some of the designs that were incorporated for the library, which you'll see in the next charrettes that the city will host, we actually have a section in the library, if you ever recall going inside the library, there's like, because it used to be a church, right? And so that area has been designed to like include like theater seating so that you can actually have a stage and have a performance or a professional presentation, and then remove all that, and you can have, we would haul, bookshelves, because the library annex is supposed to operate as a library, and it's supposed to have a circulation desk and, obviously archives, books, and stuff like that. And so that's an opportunity for the Arts Commission to also think about what are these things that could be integrated there. And I'm sorry, the Chamber of Commerce is no longer available. That building now is the Roaster, a future business that is opening in October. They're going to have like beer and, wine and all that kind of stuff, finger food. But anyway, so I just wanted to kind of go over this quickly just to remind you that our Pueblo Viejo district is where art could thrive, based on its location, walkability, and all the investment that has gone into the downtown. It really is the place to be for art. And this potential site, we've been long talking about this. When Dr. Martin was our economic development director, he wanted to do this sort of art walk, little park near the Shady Lane murals walls. And so if you and then if you see that little image, the diamond shaped property, and so this was sort of like just a little rendering, a faux rendering, if you will, that we found online that looked kind of cool. And just to integrate the arts with like people going outside, spending time outside and just quote unquote relaxing and enjoying themselves.
That little section, that's where some apartments
Yeah,
and some of the Boys and Girls Club near, right?
correct. Yes,
Okay.
Bobby Duke is
Good
there
there.
and the Boys and
Boys and
Girls
Girls Club.
Club and then Pueblo Nuevo
Nuevo, okay.
apartments. And so, yeah, so a very ideal space for integrating like the youth there as well. And so, so I just wanted to remind people of like where we've been and where we're going. And, and so, as you know, we have some flagship events here, like El Grito, Tacos, Tequilas, and Chavelas, Synergy, Run with Los Muertos. At one point we had the official Latino Film Festival here. We've had a Pride parade and even a mariachi festival. And so all of these kind of integrate the arts, because art isn't just visual, it's also like music, performances and things like that. And so anyway, that concludes the presentation, but I just want to turn it over to the commission now to kind of give us your thoughts about, what art could look like for the city of Coachella moving forward, including the discussion of this youth apprenticeship opportunity and just other ideas and thoughts that the commission might have.
Well, our Culturas Music and Art has been doing Arte del Barrio. We've had our first one in May and then the second one in June. It's a little warm, but people who did attend, it was in the evening and it was open to the public. And a lot of the comments was that they want to see more of that. Yeah, and that it brought life to downtown Coachella. We do with minimal funds, but if those events, we don't use city money. But if the city had a better idea for the arts and they had a better vision, that can really thrive in downtown. But to me, sometimes I don't see people see the vision here in the city of Coachella. I see the vision. I can see color and I can see all these things. But if you're not an artist and you don't see that vision, it's never going to happen. We're here at the Arts Commission because we love art. And art is important in a community. And if we don't move, India knows what they're doing right now. Yeah, they got the money, maybe. They got the investors, right? But we don't need investors. We just need our community.
Thank you for that. My question is, what is our art budget for this year?
I was looking at the budget and it looks like our DIF or Development Impact Fees Fund had about $169,000. However, as I was mentioning earlier, we do have some grant funding that's coming through. And I included an arts budget in those grant requests. So we will have an art budget for the new expansion of Rancho Las Flores Park, and there's money there for, I remember it was like a little fountain with like flowers around it, like a sculpture or whatever, whatever the Arts Commission thinks could possibly go there. So there is budget, and I want to say that budget was 70,000, if I recall, but I can come back and report. And also, we embedded art into the Community Resilience Center grant funding opportunity. There's going to be an art gallery in there and also some art classes that can take place there. And so, so we have budget for that as well. And, so again, that increases our funding availability. Excuse me. And through TCC as well, the Transformative Climate Communities Grant, I made sure to incorporate, a little budget there for everyone, including, art, because that's important. It's a health and well-being element as well. As you all know, people love to go and look at art, take a picture in front of it, celebrate a special occasion. And so we staff really listened, and we made sure for Rancho Las Flores Park that would be a very charming, beautiful park that people can go and celebrate, special life occasions, because many people said that, we don't have a charming park.
We have to go to Ranch Mirage or La Quinta. La
Mhm.
Quinta.
The Quince pictures, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
Well, thank you for adding that budget wise. At least we could think about, at least we could count at least almost 170,000. And the other thing I just think of icing on the cake, so we could really then maybe plan how we could use that money for the community itself to make it um more vibrant and people know what's happening and incorporate also local artists. But I do also want to point out or bring back the topic that Clara made about how do we create that youth apprentices, right? And I do remember many years ago, like in the early 90s, even artists talking about how to understand what is the budget? How do we do this? That whole process. If the artist doesn't do that, I'm willing to teach that too, right? To look, this is what we need to look. This is the expenses. So, so it, because we want to make sure that our youth are also well trained, both in the artist, but also in the management of that. So
Mhm.
somehow including that, in some of our, is it RPF? RPF, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
because we can have RFPs all we want, right?
Mhm.
But who are the people that are applying for those? It's like
Mhm.
already experienced artists that know
Mhm.
how to do RFPs. So maybe we can also talk about
Oh.
how artists can come to us to help them like fill those out, right?
Like have a call for artists, but
Mhm.
then have
Have a-
stipulations in the call where you say, I want a local artist that is experienced in working with youth, or, I don't know.
We could have that or go to the extent to where we're gonna have a workshop. How do you fill up your RFPs
Mhm.
for like, because like I said,
Before they
give
submit
it a-
them.
Oh,
Mhm. Yeah.
got it. Okay, so some sort of training,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
that it builds their capacity
Yes.
in submitting for these opportunities, but
Mhm.
also they're learning from
Mhm.
a professional artist on how to curate their piece or what have you, whatever their medium is. It could be sculpture, it could be a mural, painting.
Or learning how to take the photos of their pieces. Sometimes knowing that is important. They want to showcase it and highlight it the best you want.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. I take horrible pictures and
Those were good pictures you took. They were nice.
awful pictures. I took awful pictures.
So besides murals, what else can we do?
Sculptures, you can do art exhibitions, I would imagine even clay, like working with clay or like the
Definitely.
pottery, that is so beautiful. I saw that in Mexico and I was just really inspired. I don't have the patience to sit there with the kiln or whatever, that rotating thing and but
Yeah.
because that looks hard. They make it look easy, but it isn't, right? And so I
Mhm.
think, you could explore that, those teachings, even like uh I saw like the weaving, because even like the embroidery, that's what
Mhm.
it's called, so there's all sorts of mediums that you can explore. And I think including photography, you mentioned, learning a little bit about how to take a picture or how to, that's all really important as well, so all of that is artistic development. And so and unfortunately we've been trying really hard to be creative with what we do have, because as you see, we're trying to even turn that CRC into like an art gallery. We're trying to turn the library into a space where there's, art could be celebrated there or experienced. And and because we don't have facilities, as you know,
Mhm.
we really don't. And so we're doing all we can to be creative, but it's hard, right? With these limitations, it can be really hard. But with your help, if you guys can help us shape and define, what exactly can the city do? Maybe we're missing something, right? You guys are artists, you're out in the field doing your craft, and all of you, I know especially Irene, she's at that museum, and you're an artist yourself, you are too, and you have your classes and stuff. And so, yeah, tell us what that is. It could even be dancing, it could be music. My husband plays in a band, and so he's like a musical artist. And so, so there's all sorts of mediums, you know, and I think Yaya has been working on, you know, trying to teach our youth like how to play instruments or music, right? And
Mhm.
even, you know, the dances, the cultural dances, because that will disappear if we don't keep that alive.
The city owns a property, I don't know if that's, I think it's city properties on the corner of, Vine and, 4th Street, where remember when they
Oh, the
had that
corner?
food festival?
Oh, yeah, it's a redevelopment agency property, but yeah, so we have that little corner lot.
Mhm.
And, but I do want to invite Dr. Martin to come up as well if he wants to say something, because he's so creative. And I don't want to, I'm sorry, Dr. Martin, I didn't look over there and I'm like, oh my God, he's here.
I saw him.
But just to integrate him into the discussion, so go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chair, Gabriel Martin, City Manager. Just wanted to commend you all for your service and time and dedication for our goals for the arts in the city of Coachella. Just like Selena indicated, you know, we want to hear what you want to do, what you want to do, what ideas you have, programming, projects, murals, sculptures, events. The fund is available to do anything related to arts and culture. So, you know, whatever ideas you have or recommendations, please let us know. We can start researching it and give you guys an update on those ideas. Because I do like your idea about the barrio, art in the barrio. We can probably do like a series in downtown.
Oh, we actually, we'd have starting September, October, and we skip November because of synergy, but we have one Saturday of each month.
Right, yeah, that would be awesome. And if we want to move
Mhm.
it, you know, city can fund projects like that, programming like that to buy the supplies, the advertisement, provide food, drinks. So definitely we can do stuff like that. So, you know, we appreciate your efforts and we look to you to guide us on what programming projects are out there for us. So, you know, staff right now wants to look at other locations for art installations, and do an open RFP like you indicated. That would probably include our apprenticeship for local artists. You know, right now we're in the process of identifying locations. It's hard to find locations because you have to find a willing
Yeah.
participant. They have to execute agreements with us. You know, once we execute an agreement with you for a private property, they have to leave the mural up there for 5 years or pay back the city for the funds that cost to put that there, right? After 5 years, they can do whatever they want with the art piece. So right now we've had a few potential locations in the downtown. You know, we're looking at approaching other individuals, but if you have any other ideas, recommendations, you know, our goal is to do something every year annually, programming wise. You know, well, I always try to put at least one mural up per year, and we did that recently with the Mexicali mural. And we brought an artist from Mexicali that you guys approved. So, like, you know, like I said, any ideas that you have, we're gonna move forward with the feasibility study with this commission approved a while back. So, that will probably give us a blueprint of different options as well when we hire a consultant to do that. But we do want to be the forefront of art. I think that's the backbone of our tourism. So any feedback you guys can provide would be appreciated.
Well, you need to do color. Color, 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 people. It's like, come on. The corner of 5th Street, that new bus thing, man, they should add color to those. Not brown. It blends in with the whole. You know, you need to have color. Don't be afraid. You know the pillars right there between the library. Color those things.
Those are
If
direct
you were
colors.
to add color, people would just come to look at color, at the buildings, at the facilities. Why are people so? If you go to my house, you know I'm not afraid of color. And there's color everywhere. I mean, don't be afraid of color. I've seen the most beautiful little small towns full of color: turquoise, purple, yellow, orange. You got to stay away from brown and gray.
Oh,
Beige.
That's it.
I did want to add one little comment to piggyback on what Dr. Martin mentioned, and it's that staff is looking at you know, I don't want to call it a farmer's market because we're thinking it's going to be called a Pueblo Viejo market of some sort, but we are thinking that this opportunity would include food, the arts, like, you know, crafts and, you know, things that really attract people.
So there is a difference between art and crafts. Okay?
There is, of
There
course.
is, there is.
Yes.
It's just, it could be the craft that you're doing as you, if you're, say for a potter, right? You're really crafting stuff. So I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
that's
both
clear.
crafts
So we
and
would
art.
include both, you know.
Yeah,
we
so
would
there's,
have-
there's
yeah.
a little difference in that. And I really like the discussion is going. I do have a logistical question to ask, because this is sort of a thought process, things that, you know, how could we come, is there a time that we could meet that's not a meeting, but a sort of even we could do with the staff, a strategic planning, brainstorming that we could think, that we could really, you know, really inform each other and become a little bit more with that mindset for that to really guide this a little better, I think.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, we can definitely do. some
yeah,
of that
because
stuff.
yeah, it's like, you know, it's nothing that we're going to approve. I know there's
Yeah,
little,
yeah.
you know, there's a Brown Act to do with the
Yes.
meetings and stuff, but I really want to, so how could we meet with the
And I
staff? to
believe
re-
Dr. Martin was planning something for January perhaps, or something like that, like a, you know, and our city council had mentioned, please include the Arts Commission, you know, in the strategic planning
Mm.
session or whatever, where everybody's brainstorming, talking about, you know, what their vision is for the arts, or
Mhm.
in the council's, purview would be, you know, whatever projects or
Mhm.
plans they want to implement. And so Dr. Martin had suggested to our council, okay, how about like January of 2025? And just to give everybody time to prep and get over, you know, the election time and all the stresses that come with that and the holidays.
Mhm.
And so, you know, so that was a recommendation.
Sure. That'd be great. Thank you for thinking that was a be really good.
I have a question. I have a question about the study.
Mhm.
Will they also take a look into how many artists
Yes.
there are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things I wanted to bring up is that we should have a list of current practicing artists in the like throughout the valley or just in our city. But that way that we have contact info and know what each person practices, indigenous, like you were saying, weaving, pottery,
Sure.
like musicians, because I know there's a lot of local bands, DJs, and there's a lot of like younger community members that have been doing their own like music events, and even just like backyard shows. That's all like homegrown, you know, grassroots things. And imagine if they had like funds, if we could even make some grants for that, because a lot of the community members go to those things, and they do with what they have, you know. But we already have like experience, um, like what's it called? Just like event planners, right?
Mhm.
But it's just like kids making events with their friends. But I think that's one of the things I wanted to bring up too is having mini grants for these like smaller local music events that can either we can provide like a space for them also, or just when they're in somebody's backyard.
Mhm.
Because that's a really big part of our history in Coachella. That's something that I grew up going to. And I think it would be something good for us to think about and talk about.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
And when we do the study, we'll do the draft RFP and you guys will review it, give us comments, and that's a good recommendation. So we could add that as a deliverable for that project. So yeah, it's a good recommendation.
So I'll bring that back. We'll have another meeting in September, I think, and bring that back. Because we actually already prepared the document. It's been prepared for a little minute. We apologize, but I think, you know, we can bring that back at the next meeting and have you go over it and then release it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Selena, are there already where in the process is that park that you were mentioning in
So
Coachella?
Rancho Las Flores Park right now is in
other one.
design. Oh, the small one, the
Yeah,
little
the
one,
small one.
nowhere.
Okay, so it's
And I-
still like
Well, there's a sign there.
Well, it's
Yeah, it says future
right,
park.
Dr. Martin. So the little diamond shaped property, can you give us an update? Because we were supposed to have a $300,000 grant, I think, to make something of it, right? And then I'll turn it over to Dr.
Right
Martin.
now, we're in discussions with Chelsea because that was part of their IAG grant that they got for Kubota. And right now they are working with the city to identify the scope. So we've conditioned them to first underground all the existing power poles that don't need to be there, right? I think there's like 12 poles that need to be underground. So they're gonna use the $350,000 to do that study and underground those poles to get the site ready for construction. And then the city's gonna move forward with hiring an architect, a landscape architect to do the design and provide the community engagement. You know, we're looking at doing an RFP for that soon,
Mhm.
and that will come from the general fund. But right now, there's only 350,000 from that grant, and that's gonna be used to get the site ready, prepared for the engagement and for the construction.
Okay. And will we be kind of a part of the process of
Yes,
with the architect?
absolutely.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can also, you know, incorporate you guys in the review process. Yeah, so we definitely, the more engagement, the better, and we definitely invite everybody
Absolutely.
to the.
And that's our trouble, is getting people to come.
Mhm.
Because I always invite people to come to our community engagements and they
Mhm.
don't show up. So,
Yeah.
so please, please, I hope you show up to the charrettes, because the art feasibility study RFP requests that from the consulting firm, that, hey, you're gonna involve them and other stakeholders, not just, you know, and they're supposed to have a series of charrettes with the public, with, you know, different agencies, including education. So it's gonna be pretty comprehensive. And just know that I even work with one of our attorneys in like preparing that document, so it's pretty comprehensive. Um,
Anything else? Did we cover the agenda? Okay,
Yes, we have to move to public comments for non-agenda items, and we have, I don't know if we have anyone, staff, can you check to see if there's anyone in the audience that would like to make a public comment on a non-agenda item?
There is none online.
Okay,
Okay, anybody in the audience for public comments, non-agenda items? No? Okay. There's nothing, and we look forward to continue the process the coming months, and we'll go ahead and, I'll set up a meeting with you, Selena, then we have to spearhead the youth, apprenticeship and the programming. So I didn't forget that part.
I can help with that
okay,
too.
thank you.
We'll do that.
Who said they would help?
Selena, I'll help her too.
Irene and Clara.
Clara.
Okay.
I said Selena instead, right? No, Clara. And then we'll incorporate everybody else on the commission. So you could also be involved in different points as well. Yeah, because your viewpoint's important to us. Okay. For no other more comments, we call the meeting adjourned.
All right, 6:13.
Okay, thank you.